Good morning. Welcome back to Venture Daily. On today's show, Mark Zuckerberg, frustrated by Meta's lagging AI models, was handpicking a secretive superintelligence dream team, courting researchers at his homes and betting billions to outbuild OpenAI in the race to AGI.
And Snap announces its first ever consumer AR glasses will be available in 2026. Sleek, AI-powered specs that promise games, gesture control, and a digital life beyond your phone. I'm Josiah Simons.
I'm Jackson Fordyce. It's Wednesday, June 11th. Let's get you smarter before your first meeting. TikTok megastar Kabilame, the guy with 162 million followers who never says a word, just got detained by ICE at the Las Vegas airport and has now been sent back home.
Turns out his visa waiver expired. He overstayed. Instead of fighting it, Kabe accepted voluntary departure, meaning no deportation order and no 10-year ban.
Just weeks ago, he was walking the red carpet at the Met Gala and doing press in Los Angeles.
Only 2 weeks later, he was in ICE custody after being flagged down by agents at the Vegas airport. He cooperated, didn't ask for asylum, and bounced back to Italy.
We reached out to Kabe for a comment, but apparently his lips are sealed.
All right. All right, before we jump into today's headlines, I want to tell you about public.com. If you take investing seriously, you need to download public.com. That's where you can invest in everything: stocks, options, bonds, crypto. You can even earn some of the highest yields in the industry, like the 7% or higher yield you can lock in with a bond account. Public is a FINRA-registered SIPC-insured platform that takes your investments as seriously as you do. Fund your account in 5 minutes or less at public.com/venture and get up to $10,000 when you transfer your old portfolio. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in the podcast description. Go check it out. That's our link, public.com/venture. The app is great. We fully endorse it, and it really helps support our show. All right, Jackson, what do we have in the news today?
Big news today. Zuck's going founder mode. Mark Zuckerberg is personally recruiting a new superintelligence team at Meta to pursue artificial general intelligence after frustrations with the company's underwhelming AI performance, especially Llama 4.
Yeah, he's been meeting with top AI talent at his homes and is handpicking around 50 hires to work near him at Meta HQ. The team will also include Alexander Wang, founder of Scale AI, following a multi-billion-dollar investment, close to $15 billion, that marks Meta's largest external deal to date.
Yep.
We've got Alexander Wang, young billionaire CEO. He's going to head Meta's new superintelligence lab.
Yeah, interesting.
After this deal with Mark Zuckerberg. So, what does that actually look like? Acquired for $15 billion.
Like 49% of the company.
49% of the company is what Meta has purchased. But the interesting part here is that Alexander Wang, who was formerly not the majority owner of his own company, Scale AI, now will be, because Meta is giving it all back to him after buying 49%.
Exactly. And it's like, I think the deal's still like not fully finished just yet. And so that's still like being talked about and I think pursued in the right way, but I'm not sure it's fully finished just yet.
Yeah,
deal.
but I think it looks likely.
For sure. Values Scale AI at $28 billion.
Yes, valuation now.
An interesting part of the story involving Scale AI is that they just acquired a company called Pesto AI, which helps companies recruit developers remotely. And I feel like that kind of makes perfect sense as Meta or Zuck's trying to build out this dream team for superintelligence. The week before, Scale AI acquires Pesto AI, which focuses on hiring developers, recruiting developers.
So you're saying that they're going to take some of that pool from the pool of Pesto.
Yeah, I can imagine
find their 50.
Alexander and Mark are talking like, dude, we want to acquire you. Perfect. We'll acquire these guys.
Yeah.
That helps find the perfect kind of talent. We'll pull them, bring them into the superintelligence.
Because Zuckerberg's network wasn't already big enough. He needed Pesto.
You don't know what you don't know. And so there's people outside of Zuck's inner circle.
Sure.
That's why he's inviting people to his home, eating dinner with them, having lunch with them. And so he's pulling
both?
He's doing both.
Lunch and dinner?
Breakfast is sacred for Mark. He doesn't do breakfast with anybody
All right,
else.
Jackson, I heard you talk to Jake O'Shea about this story, so tell us about that.
Exactly. I talked to Jake O'Shea, principal at Antler, and for a deeper story, I asked him, how unusual is this level of hands-on effort on a CEO from this scale, and what does it signal?
I don't know that it's that unusual for Zuck specifically. I think that getting his hands dirty and being really in the trenches when he's excited about a new opportunity is kind of par for the course for him. We saw him do this with VR, XR when he acquired Oculus, spent tons of time, manpower, capital towards kind of building out that opportunity and direction for his companies. I think in terms of other CEOs, it might be maybe non-traditional, but he's not just a CEO, he's also the founder of the company. And I think specifically, he talks about like going founder mode on this and really trying to be very hands-on. It's very clear that he sees AI as the biggest opportunity ahead of Meta. And so because of that, he's really kind of rolling up his sleeves and getting his hands dirty and making sure he has his fingerprints all over this.
I mean, founder mode on the biggest project probably of the next decade, maybe more for all of humanity, AGI. So he's saying, we're going to try to beat the big players, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic. Meta's saying, we're going to get there first. Mark is saying, we're going to get there first.
In the Bloomberg article, it seemed as though a lot of the high-level staff or people at Meta were upset with Mark for how much pressure he was putting on the developers and engineers for how bad Llama 4 was in his opinion.
Yeah, it's quite a big disappointment.
And so it seems like Mark's saying, like, everyone shut up. Let me do this. I'm going to do it. No one else can work as hard as I can. I'm going to find the people. I'm going to build this team. Y'all are just going to follow along with me.
Yeah.
Putting all the desks together is kind of a cool idea.
So,
which maybe he already does, but
so does that make Meta uniquely positioned over these other massive companies to reach AGI first?
Well, that's exactly what I asked Jake O'Shea.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to data. Most of the big models that are out today have scraped all the publicly available data that's on the internet. So in order to increase the output of these models and make them more performant, they need to be able to access unique types of data. And Meta has that in troves, right? It's probably one of, if not the single biggest source of user-generated data and user-generated content on the internet. Because of that, they've got really unique access to how people think, how people talk, how people react to certain situations. And when you're building a kind of generally intelligent model that emulates how humans think and how humans reason, it's really important to have unique data sets to feed into that. And so because of Meta owning platforms like not just Facebook, but also Instagram, WhatsApp, all the messages that go through those systems, they have a real advantage in terms of the data that they can use to train a generally intelligent model.
Wow. So, I mean, it's the perfect partnership. You got maybe the most data of any company in the world, Meta, and they're teaming up with Scale AI, who can train that data, who can label it all for them and give them the most valuable data back. So I feel like it makes perfect sense. If you're trying to reach AGI first over these other players, making a deal with Scale AI, even if it's an expensive one, $15 billion, makes a lot of sense.
You buy your way to the top, but they've done that before with, WhatsApp, with Instagram, with Oculus. It's not out of, Meta's wheelhouse to buy someone big in that market.
Definitely not. So I want to dive a little deeper into the Scale AI partnership between Wang and Zuck. So check this out. I was reading this. So this is Tom Doton from Newcomer.
Shout out
He
Newcomer.
wrote a really good piece about this story. So I was reading this last night. I want to talk about the highlighted section here. So the big question is this an inflection or is it an OpenAI? And what does that mean? So did Meta invest approximately $15 billion in Scale to supercharge an outside startup while reaping some of the benefits and casting off its image as an AI stumbler, Microsoft OpenAI? And I'm just reading here from Newcomer.
Right.
Or did it poach the CEO and top leadership of the startup to bring that talent in-house while paying off investors and sucking the life force from the remaining company, which is what happened to Inflection with Microsoft. So apparently, a Scale investor told Newcomer that the pitch was for the former option, the OpenAI Microsoft one, and Meta is essentially giving co-founder Alexander Wang control of Scale even as he steps away from the company he co-founded. According to Doton, Zuckerberg and Wang have been close for some time. They're buds, okay? One person close to Scale told him, and the idea is that the two of them are going to combine their visions, build their respective companies together. So it's like, we're going to hang out, we're going to get lunch. We're going to hang out at the office in
Menlo Park.
In Menlo Park, but
and we're going to build this thing.
But we're going to build this thing. But we're also going to build our own companies at the same time. We're not going to have a ton of crossover.
It doesn't seem like Mark's personality to share in the reaping the benefits with somebody else while working together like that.
It doesn't seem like it. What do you mean by that?
I feel like he wants it all for himself.
He wants it all for himself. I don't know. I think he's acquired all these companies and
done what with them? They're mine. They're under my umbrella.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's me and Alexander.
That's true. This probably is the first time we've seen.
When has he ever been side by side with somebody so publicly at this large of a scale?
We did get the Anduril story recently with his boy Palmer. So there's that.
He's building the dream team outside.
I feel like he's kind of opening his mind to being more collaborative.
I can't do it alone.
He can't do it alone. Yeah.
We have to kill Sam Altman.
That's
right.
right.
I'm going to do it with Palmer Luckey and Alexander Wang.
Well, you asked Jake about how significant he thought the Scale AI purchase was. So
exactly.
Tell me about that.
Well, I guess we'll find out from Jake.
Okay.
I think it's fairly significant. Obviously, it's billions of dollars of new investment in capital. Scale AI is one of the largest repositories of data, and specifically like labeled data to be used for model training in the world. So this investment signals that they're definitely trying to build a closer relationship there. I'm not sure the specifics on, what data Scale AI owns and can use for other purposes, but it's definitely a very clear signal that data is kind of the oil of the future, and Meta wants to be as close to that as possible and have as deep access as they can to the companies that are building those data sets.
Yeah. AGI, most experts, like the most optimistic experts, are estimating 5 to 10 years from in the future is when we're going to get AGI. So is it even really worth talking about right now, Jackson? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel as if we see so much innovation from companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, etc.
Right.
I feel like that number is going to be cut down very, very quickly. Absolutely.
That's the most optimistic experts are saying 5 to 10 years.
If you're an expert and you're not working at OpenAI or Anthropic or Meta or something like that, then you're not an expert. If you're working at a university, you're not an expert. I'm sorry. If you're not in the trenches working at one of these giant corporations that are changing the world every single day, you're not an expert. Okay? So stop commenting as if you're an expert. I want to hear Sam Altman's opinion on how far he thinks AGI is out. If you're not working with Sam Altman, if you're not working with one of these companies, you're not an expert, okay? I don't want to read a paper about how you think in the next 15 years we'll get to AGI. I think Sam thinks it'll happen in the next couple of years. He might have said something different. But I think if you are not working at one of these kind of companies, you're not an expert.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
You're not a founder. You're not an expert.
So you say we're going to reach it in the next couple of years.
We're getting it in before 5 years from now. We'll see.
Okay.
Maybe not fully integrated in every aspect of our lives, but I think we'll get by the end of 2026, we will see a really great example of what AGI can do.
Less than 5 years to a year and a half?
I'm saying in a year and a half, we'll see like the first first example of what this could actually look like.
Okay. And who do you think wins? Who gets there first? Meta or OpenAI?
Only Johnny Ive.
Wow. So we're talking about Zuck.
I'm joking.
What? You're joking.
Well, I'm saying Johnny as in like he's not the guy to get to AGI. I'm saying it'll be him and Sam, but I was saying for the joke, just Johnny.
I see. Just Johnny. Okay.
No, it's gonna be. I don't know. Actually, I don't know who it's gonna be. Maybe it's some new player that we don't know yet.
Sure.
Maybe it's an expert at MIT. I doubt it. Let's go. Let's go.
But you asked.
Let's go to Jake's
Jake.
last question. Yeah, like what does this mean if the team succeeds?
What
at
if
Meta?
Meta was the winner?
Yeah, if Meta's super intelligent team succeeds, what does that mean for the future of its products?
Yeah, I think if Meta succeeds with building artificial general intelligence, it's going to be way more pervasive and way more game changing than just better Meta products. This would enable them to essentially create a whole new class of intelligence that can emulate humans, that can take action like humans, and it's going to completely change the way the world works. This is kind of a step change function in AI beyond just emulating human reasoning and actually thinking up new ideas, creating new opportunities, and generally just doing things in a way that we've never seen before. And honestly, I don't know how it's going to change the way the world works, but it's pretty clear that it's going to be game changing.
It's going to be game changing.
Game changing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Jake O'Shea, for being on Venture Daily.
All right, Jackson.
Yep.
What do we got next?
Next story. Snap's first consumer AR Specs glasses will arrive next year. Snap is launching the first consumer AR glasses called Specs in 2026, beating Meta's similar offering by several months.
That's right. The glasses will feature Snap's OS, AI assistant, gesture controls, and immersive AR experiences like games and a virtual workstation.
Specs are designed to be light, comfortable, and more affordable than Apple's $3,500 Vision Pro, though exact pricing hasn't been disclosed.
That's right. Snap plans deep integration with AI models from OpenAI and Google, offering features like real-time translation and recipe suggestions.
CEO Evan Spiegel emphasized privacy and said the glasses aim to do what smartphones can't, with a strong developer ecosystem already behind Snap's AR tools. And for more on this story, we're having an Antler day today. We spoke with Jeff Becker.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's Jeff Becker. I'm an Inception investor at Antler.
So I asked Jeff, just to kind of hop into the story, do you think Snap can convince everyday users to wear AR glasses when past attempts by others haven't exactly gone mainstream?
I'm not one of those guys that will be wearing them, but who knows what the next generation will do. I think you got to watch what the younger generation's doing, the folks that are actually using the platform, how they might be using it. I think it's a play more at social than it is at anything else. I don't think it's a real business application. I'm not sure that it's much more than something fun right now, but if you can figure out media distribution in sort of a post-phone era, maybe. Who knows what Joni Ive's new product's going to be. We know that Facebook and others are working on similar products, so maybe they know something about user behavior that we don't, but I'm probably not going to be walking around with any AR goggles anytime soon.
You can hear the background noise there. Sorry about that, but
he's in New York City.
He's in New York City. He's working at Antler. They're doing things there. Okay,
they're building.
Sorry about it.
They're shaping the skyline in New York City to make it look new.
That's right. All right. So Meta's scheduled several months now behind Snap. That's kind of a big deal. Snap just jumped their whole schedule. I wonder if Meta will accelerate their timeline now.
Well, what I'm going to say is I think these cute little glasses are the least of Meta's worth. If you're building for superintelligence,
right.
Oh yeah, we can. We're good.
I mean, they're integrating the AGI into their Ray-Bans apparently, if they get it. So
true.
I think that would, if they were to get the AGI, maybe they're gonna leapfrog Snap on those goggles.
Yeah, I think so too. But speaking of Meta, ask Jeff Becker. Meta's AR glasses are coming in 2027. How big of an edge does Snap gain by launching a year earlier?
I think they're different things. I think, Facebook's going after productivity, gaming, metaverse. I feel like Snap is going after social. I think probably different users. Maybe the use cases might be similar, but I think a lot of the things that we've seen on the internet have been context driven. And so I imagine that, hardware may try to be ubiquitous, but it may come down to where your distribution advantages overlap with your features and functions. I have a sense that those are going to be different things in the beginning.
Snapchat lenses, which are those filters that you use on Snapchat, those are being used 8 billion times a day, Jackson. 8 billion times. So
unbelievable.
They got brands here, macaroni and cheese, Taco Bell, X-Men. 8 billion times a day. That's more than the people on Earth, or the same number. How is that possible?
Unbelievable.
Your numbers, man.
They're
literally unbelievable. So that kind of makes me think, well, maybe we're going to see Snapchat, maybe just us old heads
maybe it
can't
translates.
understand.
Some of that goes to...
Translates from phone to face.
Exactly.
And you asked Jeff about that, right?
Yep.
Gosh, I don't know. I'm sure some, right? More than zero. So you have to believe that people's behavior is changing in some way, that there is some behavior worth digging into a little bit, understanding it, how to work within it, how to reach those people. So I think it'll be meaningful. Any percentage of that number is somewhat meaningful. So I don't know if it'll go mainstream and go into the, hundreds of billions of interactions or more, but at 8 billion interactions, it's not nothing. And so I think you got to pay attention to it and watch it and see how consumers are using the product.
8 billion. It is not nothing. That's true.
It'll be more than zero.
It'll be more than zero.
Probably more than one.
8 billion is literally the number of people on this earth, but Jeff's not as psyched as maybe I am.
Yeah. You're more psyched than...
I think I'm more psyched than Jeff is on this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, one of the biggest questions for this, too, is who is the target consumer?
Yes.
Is it just tech enthusiasts, or do you think it'll become mainstream is what I asked Jeff.
Okay. Accessory like AirPods. Well, you said here, mainstream accessories like AirPods or smartwatches. You think it's going to be that successful, Jackson, huh?
Not at all.
Man.
I don't know about AirPods and smartwatches. AirPods is an amazing standalone business. It's bigger than some of the largest companies in the world on its own. So I don't know if we'll see that out of Snap in that kind of scale. But I do think that what you will see is a subset of the population that loves it, finds killer use cases, and whether that crosses the chasm from the early adopters to kind of the mainstream, I don't know. But there's been a lot of faults and starts in this domain, and so I'm kind of hesitant to believe that it'll be mainstream anytime in the near future.
Wow. Techno pessimist, Jeff Becker.
That's right.
I mean, him and I think similarly.
Okay.
Maybe it'll blow up. Maybe we'll all get these the specs.
They just don't look cool enough yet. But if they kind of get their design right,
I can't see it.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
You can't see it.
Yeah.
If you put on the specs, maybe you can.
Maybe I can. But thank you to Jeff Becker for being on the show today.
All right, let's finish up with one last story. Jackson, what is it about?
This weekend, a police helicopter hovered over protesters in Los Angeles and threatened them over a loudspeaker saying, quote, "I have all of you on camera. I'm going to come to your house."
Civil rights groups immediately flagged the threat as chilling, authoritarian, and possibly illegal. And even if it was just a bluff, legal experts say it amounts to intimidation designed to scare people out of exercising their First Amendment rights.
If it was true, it suggests law enforcement is using surveillance, maybe even facial recognition technology to identify and track protesters.
Groups like the ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation say it's a part of a broader pattern. The LAPD already flies helicopters on almost continuous basis with $50 million a year in taxpayer funding.
Now advocates are telling people to take steps to protect themselves during protests as they could be recorded from the sky, like disabling Face ID, putting phones on airplane mode, and avoiding photographing other demonstrators' faces.
That's it for Venture Daily. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope we helped you get a little bit smarter today.
And thank you to Content Stack here in Austin, Texas for allowing us to film at your location. If you like the show today, whether on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or X, leave us a like, a comment, and a review. Throw us a 5-star rating if you think we earned it. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow morning on Venture Daily.